Morgan Library is home to one of the largest groups of drawings by both Giambattista and Domenico Tiepolo. They were been acquired by in series and by a series of collectors, starting with Morgan himself. So we have some 300 examples, 200 by Battista and 100 by Domenico, and they are among our greatest treasures. The exhibition that John Marciari has organized, our Charles W. Engelhard Curator and Department Head of Prints and Drawings, and also our curatorial chair, the exhibition that John has organized really emerged from work he was doing with Ian Higgs, our previous Moore Fellow. So this is a two-year fellowship that really engages young, upcoming scholars of drawings. And the exhibition, as it developed, he's been assisted by Elizabeth Eisenberg, our current Moore Fellow. We are particularly excited by the loans that we were able to bring in to create this exhibition that tells the story of both artists, their distinctions, some of their most moving and beautiful drawings, and also the Kimball Art Museum in Fort Worth agreed to send both of its beautiful oil sketches, modelli, to the exhibition, and there have been significant loans from Yale, the Met, private collectors. Above all, a group of peerless Domenico Pulcinello drawings lent by Peter Marino. Looking around the gallery, and I hope you have seen that already, looking around particularly with the preparatory drawings in mind, one appreciates the comment made by the great English scholar Michael Levy into Tiepolo's genius. And he wrote, "It is one of gifted impatience and almost savage speed." Gifted impatience and almost savage speed, and he might have been talking of John Marciari, who, while he has our exceptionally productive, never savage, and only occasionally impatient curator and curatorial chair. One of the last times I was up here welcoming people was in March for Piranesi, which was a beautiful exhibition that John organized over some years as well, and created and wrote a very fine catalogue for. And he's been very productive with this show as well, and I'm immensely grateful to him. It's a large topic, two great artists, the role of drawing in their production, the differences between father and son, and just the sheer beauty of the exhibition. John has really galvanized and revitalized the drawings department with a very gifted team of curators and fellows. I also want to recognize the work that was done by our conservation department in the Thor Conservation Studio in looking at every drawing with new spectrometry that will bring new physical and technical information to bear. And there will be a seminar devoted to Tiepolo towards the end of the run of the exhibition. But for now, I'm not too exhausted. John Marciari will give a lecture entitled "A Magical Performance, Drawings by Giambattista and Domenico Tiepolo." Let's welcome John Marciari.
Thank you, Colin, and thank you all for braving the crowds in the galleries to come hear a talk on Tiepolo on a Friday evening. There's something wonderful, but also a little bit terrifying about curating an exhibition or giving a lecture on the drawings of the Tiepolo family. Part of the problem is that Tiepolo drawings are wonderful, but they're also so familiar. At the annual auctions of Old Master Drawings, there are always Tiepolo drawings for sale, and it seems that every collection of Old Master Drawings, public or private, will include examples of their work. In fact, the great collector and dealer Jean Thaw once talked about Tiepolos, especially these figures seen from below, so seductive and once so abundant on the market. Jean called these starter drawings, the thin end of the collecting wedge, for himself as a young collector, but then for so many others in the decades since. In fact, the drawing at lower left was owned by Jean. But this isn't to say that Jean belittled Tiepolo drawings, for he in the end owned 18 himself, including these examples, all now here at the Morgan, in addition to however many others he sold over the years. And indeed, there is much to like in Tiepolo. Who can't appreciate the sheer volume of Tiepolo inventions and the apparently effortless pace with which he seemed to generate these sheets? The title of the exhibition, Spirit and Invention, is paraphrased from the very first written account of Giambattista Tiepolo's work by the great critic Antonio Zanetti, who, after praising Giambattista's very lively spirit, noted that his distinguishing merit is his ready invention. He introduced great numbers of figures, each one distinct, each one new, and each different. And despite this, despite the admirable variety of these spirited inventions, the overwhelming majority of Tiepolo drawings are immediately recognizable. In that sense, they're easy, but also a bit daunting because they have been so very much studied. This is just a shot of my bookshelf taken yesterday. And equally often, they've been exhibited. Just here in New York, the Morgan's Tiepolo drawings have featured in exhibitions, including the 1971 18th century drawings, Italian drawings from the Year collections, the 1973 drawings from the Heinemann collection, 1980 Punchinello drawings at the Frick. Then 1996 saw the great Tiepolo year with the shows both at the Morgan and here at the big show at the Met and here at the Morgan, Tiepolo and his Circle, drawings from American collections. Since then, in 2007, the Frick organized a show of Domenico Tiepolo's biblical drawings, and then in 2014, the Morgan held Tiepolo, Guardi, and Their World. So when I say there's something frightening about working on Tiepolo, I mean that it seems difficult to work around all of this existing scholarship, all of these shows. And in fact, in the end, the title of my lecture tonight even comes from one of the exhibition catalogs. The great Tiepolo scholar James Byam Shaw, in his introduction to the 1973 Heinemann exhibition, writes that Giambattista's Holy Family series, quote, must be reckoned among his greatest achievements in drawing, so infinitely varied in composition, so passionately devotional, yet so tenderly, touchingly conceived. Nothing could be more beautiful or illustrate better what I mean. But who could describe the beauty and skill of the execution of such a drawing? The writer just seeks to convey, in the language of poetry or music, the impact of the pen or the brush on paper, and in the end, must content himself with silent admiration of so magical a performance. Byam Shaw appreciated the tender Holy Family drawings with their lyricism, but there's also something poetic, if in a rather more epic mode, in a drawing like this Great Annunciation, done around the same time. And there's something almost alchemical in the way that Giambattista pulls form out of this twisted mass of lines, creating the body of the angel with a few calligraphic squiggles and dabs of wash. But therein really lies the problem. Silent admiration of so magical a performance is one thing, not to mention the fact that it's hard to top Jim Byam Shaw for evocative language about such works. But devising an exhibition or delivering a lecture where one should ideally tell some story about the drawings presents a different challenge. And by way of introduction, this takes me back to the very beginnings of this project, when, during the pandemic, with our exhibition schedule more or less on hold, Colin suggested that it might be a good idea to do research on the Tiepolo drawings and plan an exhibition that could happen whenever the world returned to something like normal. After all, as he said, we have more than 300 drawings by the artists. And I'll admit, I didn't want to do it. Not another Tiepolo show. I love Tiepolo. Dearly, I love Tiepolo, but what really was there to say? I could remember the recent shows, the great exhibitions of 1996, and even more recently, here at the Morgan, the 2014 exhibition curated by Bill Griswold. And after those, and after all the others, and after all of George Knox's and Jim Byam Shaw's work, what was there still to say? Why, even back in 1973,